Whether you're a long-term fan of electronic music or if you're only getting into it now, these are 5 artists that I think everybody should know. Today we're going to explore 5 artists who are absolutely groundbreaking and pioneers in the field of electronic music. This list is a personal list, but if you guys have other people who you think are the greatest of all time in their field, add them in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The first artists on this list are the Future Sounds of London. If you've never heard about this duo before, I ask you to stop what you're doing, go check them out. This is going to blow your mind. Gary Cobain and Brian Dugans took electronic music to new heights with their boundary-pushing sound. Their iconic album, Lifeforms, from 1994, blurred the lines between ambient, techno, and experimental soundscapes, creating a futuristic audio journey. FSOL, as they were often referred to, were pioneers in using technology not to create music only, but to break down the walls between art, sound, and visual media. These guys were some of the first people to understand the 3D aspect to content creating, but it was a whole, but this is the 90s. FSOL were amazing. They were groundbreaking. They had a totally unique sound, and one of the things that was amazing about them, it was very futuristic for the time. We're talking mid-90s, 93, 94, 95, that stuff there. It's a very long time ago. So the Future Sounds of London, they definitely deserve the name, and also this is a group that you should definitely check out if you're into electronic music. The second artist on the list is Björk. Björk, as many of you know, is an Icelandic artist who has been doing electronic music for many years. She's a songwriter, a singer, a producer, and her music is constantly evolving. Even though she's not a traditional electronic artist in some sense, her experimentation with electronic sounds, especially in albums like Homogenic and Vespertine, really helped to shape the genre. All Is Full of Love is a great song to get to know Björk. Her style is very emotional and very deep, but at the same time very avant-garde. The thing about Björk is that she was one of the only women who was involved in the electronic music scene very impressively at the time. She was a super big name and was really pushing the scene. So this is one of the people who, if you have never heard of Björk, or if you've never really spent the time to listen to some of her music, this is probably going to be more avant-garde than a lot of the avant-garde music that you're going to be listening to from now. If you guys know who I have in my hands right now, this is one of the GOATs. Richie Houghton is basically the techno god. Basically, he took minimal techno to a whole new level. The stripped back sound, the deep repetitive beats, and most of all, the acid bass lines defined a generation of techno music. Sheet 1, the album that I'm holding in my hands, and other albums were the foundation for techno music and were must-haves if you were an electronic music enthusiast. In his rhythmic style of making music, you would get lost and hypnotized, and many of the songs became also very much a genre-defining moment with what was becoming acid house and the defining scene in Chicago. So we're almost at the top of the list, but ironically, Aphex is not on the top of the list in this list. I know Aphex is on the top of the list for all of your lists, so for me too. But the reason why I'm putting him second is because even though he was super influential, #1 artist I think hit other heights that he was not able to hit. However, I must say this. Richard D. James, also known as Aphex Twin, is the most enigmatic and probably the most important figure in electronic music. He pushed the boundaries of IDM, which is a horrible name, I hate it, intelligent dance music, but basically it was the style of music that he created and defined, and many people still try to replicate today unsuccessfully. Albums like Selected Ambient Works 85 to 92 were the reason why I started making electronic music. This album was groundbreaking. When I came back to America from Italy with this album in my hands in 1993, everybody was blown away. It was so futuristic. It was the most incredible thing we had heard at the time. And in a way, it kind of still is. If you haven't heard Aphex Twin, again, stop what you're doing and go listen to it now, because literally your mind will explode. I don't even know how to say it. It's really good. Anyway, Aphex. The only reason why this artist is #1 is because they were the artists who transcended electronic music the most of all of the artists who still come from that same era but were able to retain a high level of success for their whole career. Of course, I can only be talking about Daft Punk. Daft Punk, everybody knows, so that's the difference. Maybe if you're underground, you know Aphex Twin, you know Plastikman. everyone knows Daft Punk, and Daft Punk are the most amazing electronic music producers of all time simply because they created the most iconic sounds and were able to traverse the entire world, creating entire new genres and sparking a whole revolution in electronic music, bringing it from the underground into the mainstream. Thomas Baltinger and Guy Manuel de Home Cristo revolutionized electronic music. The mix of funk, disco, and house with albums like Homework and Discovery brought electronic music to the mainstream. Around the World was on TV, as was One More Time, becoming anthems of the era. Daft Punk didn't make only incredible music, they made a whole culture, and their iconic helmets and live performances are still one of the most visually captivating, iconic symbols of electronic music today. There you go, guys. That's my list of the 5 most influential people in electronic music according to me. Who were the people who were influential in your discovery of electronic music? Who is on your top 5 list? I would love if you shared that in the comments. And also, do you agree? Is Daft Punk number 1? Can anyone dethrone Aphex? What's your opinion? Let me know. And as always, thank you guys and looking forward to seeing you soon.